Hello, everyone. Welcome to Proline. I'm John Creighton in Las Vegas, joined by Big Al McMordie. Jim Feist is going to be joining us, along with our man on the street, Jeff Sod of Las Vegas Sports Services. Going to look at a couple of Big 12 and Big 10 games going on this weekend. But first, let's tell you about what some of the ads we have available. Big Al, I know your Fortune 500s have been on a roll since Labor Day, and consistency is the hallmark of successful handicapping. And what do you have on tap for this weekend?
Well, we're going to have another big Fortune 500 club play, John, but really what we're focusing on right now are the conference tournaments. They got started on Tuesday, and you get a lot of the small conference tournaments right now, but those are the conferences that offer great value. And to prove it, I'm going to have my small college conference tournament game of the year. This is an under-the-radar release, and it's going to be part of a 5-play countdown for Saturday, including, as I mentioned before, another Fortune 500 club play. These Fortune 500 club releases go for $500. But for folks who sign up early, you're going to get those 5 plays for $15 plus a bonus 6 TV winner going tonight. 6 plays for $15, including that Fortune 500 club play and our small college conference tournament game of the year. All 6 plays. Call now, 866-841-1665. That's 866-841-1665.
All right, and Dave Cokin will be back for next week's show, but he wants us to let you know that last week he hit that college game of the year. He was off a 6-1 Saturday. That play was on UC Davis. They were an underdog at Cal State Fullerton, won the game straight up. Dave is now 24-9 lifetime with these plays. For this Saturday, if you missed that, he has his college crusher game of the year going Saturday. It's only $10, and it comes with a guarantee. Dave guarantees you win, or you get 7 days of hoops free on him. 1-866-896-1629. And Jim Feist has a 5-play college countdown going Saturday, and it's going to include his college total of the year. 5 plays in all for $25. 2 weeks ago, he nailed his college game of the year with Xavier. If you missed that, his total of the year is going Saturday. You can get all 5 of these. 1-866-841-1655. Okay, Al, let's take a look at some Big 12 action. You got a big game this weekend. Kansas is playing at Baylor on Saturday. I mean, you have a log jam for first place in the Big 12. You get Kansas and Kansas State in that duel, so you know Kansas is going to want to show up. And then you got Baylor, a team that's got talent and is fighting for tourney consideration. Are the Bears worthy?
I don't know if they're worthy, but I do think they might get the job done in this ball game, notwithstanding Kansas's 7-game straight-up and ATS win streak. You know, Baylor does come into this ball game off 2 losses, and now it's 17-13 on the season, very much on the bubble of getting invited to the tournament. I don't think they're going to make it, but I like them in this ball game. They're going to be getting a lot of points at home in Waco. And one of the things I like to do, John, I like to take winning teams off back-to-back losses, which Baylor is, if they're getting more than 5 points at home or if they're playing on a neutral court. These teams are 71% against the spread since 1991 when they're matched up against opponents off a win, provided that opponent did not fail to cover the spread in its previous game. I think it sets up perfectly for the Baylor Bears here, and I'm going to take the points.
All right, and let's find out what Jim Feist has to say about this game.
Baylor, you know, they have home court advantage. I like their talent, but they've been underperforming. They started the season off 14-5. Since then, they're 3-8 straight up, 4-7 against the spread. They lost to Kansas early. Kansas just pummeled them. But at this time of year, now you're looking at teams. This, for example, is Baylor's last home game. It's senior night for them. That's a big event in college sports. So you got Kansas on the road. They're going to be a pretty good favorite in this situation. They were 10 in the earlier game at home, but since then Kansas is playing pretty well and Baylor's not. You're going to see a pretty big number on this, unless somehow Kansas comes out and says we're just not going to play our starters or something, but I don't think that's going to happen. But who really needs this game to make an impression? Baylor has a pretty good record, but they're not going anywhere unless they perform better on the court and impress some people. And, of course, they do have the tournament to try to impress some people there, too. So this is a bigger game, in my opinion, for Baylor. Now, you got a road favorite, definitely the better team, against a team that has a lot of talent but's underperforming and have already lost to this club. So you have Home court, you got great talent, not better than the team you're playing, but the motivation is there for them to perform better. Then they just lost at Texas, 79-70, just the other night. I think it was Monday night. They're going to want to bounce back. They don't want to leave this sour grape situation on their fans. This is a big game for Baylor. I'm inclined to take the points if it's a good spread. I'm not talking about taking 4 or 5. I'm talking about taking something substantially more than that. But if it's a substantial number, I'm looking for the home dog. You know, I'm not going to say money line play, but I like them to cover.
You know, this Kansas team, I love the balance that they have. You know, 47% shooting as a team. That's top 30 in the nation. Great rebounding team, top 15 in rebounding. They can play different styles. Their defense is outstanding. Tops in the Big 12, 35.5 shooting per game. And they're just 60 points per game. That ranks third. You can do that when you get a guy like 7-foot Jeff Withey up front. And then the backcourt has freshman Ben McLemore. He's probably going to be a lottery pick. The thing about Baylor, I love the talent on the court, but there seems to be something wrong at times with this team. A part of it seems to be defense and how they adjust to teams that play terrific defense. Now, Baylor got off to that 14-5 start, but since then, a lot of must-win games, but just 3-8 straight up, 4-7 against the spread. And look at a couple games when they play really good defensive teams. We saw it last Saturday against Kansas State. They were favored at home, lost 64-61, shot just 39%. And even in the earlier meeting against this Kansas team, total was 142, way under that as Kansas rolled 61-44. Kansas did not have a good game shooting from the field, just 38%, but they turned up the defense on Baylor, who couldn't adjust. Baylor shot just 23%. That's the way I'm going to look at this game. Both teams want the game. They're going to bring their best defense that they can. And take a look at a spread trend with the Jayhawks. 10-5-1 run under the total, playing the best defense at the right time. And after they win a game, they're 9-3-1 under the total. Okay, before we get to our next game, we're going to check in with Jeff Sard, our man on the street. Jeff, what do you have this weekend?
Free play coming up. First, LVSS has been on a 72-44-2 run in all basketball, college and pros. Get my March basketball package, the rest of March in college and the NBA. 3 weeks for just $19. It will include my tourney game of the year as well as plays every day. Play March basketball with a red-hot Las Vegas pro. LVSS, call 1-866-575-8916. The free play is Saturday in the Big East as Notre Dame ends the regular season at Louisville. Both teams are dynamite defensively, and note that the under is 34-16-1 in the Fighting Irish's last 51 road games against a team with a winning home record. The last time these teams met was February 9th, a wild 104-101 Notre Dame win at home in 5 overtimes, but it was 60-60 at the end of regulation, under the total of 126. Despite all the scoring, both teams shot just 41% from the field and were a combined 12 of 50 from three-point land. Louisville was third in the Big East in points allowed, just 58.5 points per game, and allows 39% shooting. The under is 7-2 in the Cardinals' last 9 versus the Big East. Look for a defensive duo, play Notre Dame and Louisville under the total on Saturday. Once again, get my March basketball package, the rest of March in college and the NBA. 3 weeks, just $19. It will include my tournament game of the year as well as plays every day. Play March basketball with a red-hot Las Vegas pro. LVSS, call 1-866-575-8916.
All right, thanks, Jeff. And let's get to our Twitter question of the week in college basketball. You can follow us and send us a Twitter question at Facebook at Proline TV, or you can Twitter us, Twitter at Jim Feist Sports. If your question is chosen, you'll be put into a drawing to win $100 worth of plays from a handicapper of your choice. Our question today has to do with the conference tournament play coming up. And Al, how much stock do you put in regular season meetings between teams when conference tourney play kicks in?
Well, I do look at the regular season meetings, but I haven't found much to yield, a bunch of profit when it comes to the conference tournaments. A lot of times people will look at teams that are playing with double revenge, for example. I found those teams generally, if they lost the first 2 meetings, they're not really worth taking in that third meeting in the tournament. So, I look at it, but I've really not found that playing on teams with, for example, double revenge really matters. And I'm more interested in looking at how a team's recent form is and either using that as a go on or go against rather than going back, a month or two to look at how they did the previous meeting.
Yeah, I'm similar. I take it with a grain of salt. I mean, I do look back at the regular season meetings. The important factors that stand out to me as I look at rebounding, defense, and field goal shooting percentage. I mean, particularly rebounding, that can give an indication, especially if they play twice, of front court dominance, and that could be an important matchup factor. I like to look at matchups because, in conference tournament play, at some point a team's going to go cold shooting. So it's good to have an option when you're not shooting well from the field. Teams that have good low post play or good rebounders, well, they can go for some high percentage shots while they weather the storm of bad shooting. Another thing is defense. If a team plays they meet twice, and one team shoots 51% from the field in both those meetings or is exceptional from three-point land, well, that tells me that either the coaching staff doesn't focus the players on how to play defense or they're just lackadaisical overall. And that's something that I would think of not only just with size but with totals, too. Teams that are lax defensively can be good shots to look at over the total. Okay, we have another game coming up. Illinois is playing at Ohio State. This will be a Sunday game. And, Al, what you have here really is two hot teams. You got a revenge game, and you got two teams that recently beat the number 1 and number 2 team in the nation, Indiana. Who do you think has the edge in this one?
Well, it's a game where I'm going to really have to take a look at the line, because if I can get the Buckeyes at minus 12.5 points or less, and I don't know what you're projecting the number to be, but I'm projecting it's going to be right in that neighborhood, then I'm going to look at the Buckeyes as the favorite here against Illinois. Ohio State's going to be playing its last home game of the season, and when I can get a team with a win percentage greater than 625, at home, if they've won at least 12 home games and they've lost no more than 3 home games, that is, they're a very strong home court team. These teams in their last home game are 75-37 against the spread since 1991, provided they're not favored by 13 or more points. They're not playing with revenge, and they covered by 5 or more points in the previous game, so they're playing with a little bit of momentum. So that's the situation here for Ohio State, and it's going to really come down to the number for me, and I'll take them at less than 13 points, John.
Okay, yeah, both teams are playing relatively hot basketball right now. The thing about the Fighting Illini to keep in mind, when they're playing in the Big Ten, they've been horrendous against the spread, 9-21 run, despite the fact that the last 8 games, they've been playing pretty good basketball, 6-2 straight up, 4-4 against the spread. And speaking of hot teams, though, Ohio State, what a run they've been on, 12-4 straight up, 9-7 against the number. They had that big win at Indiana on Tuesday. Defense is really what's driving this team. They were exceptional against that great Indiana offense, allowing just 40% shooting on the road to pull that upset win. And then when I look at the previous meeting, boy, it's certainly a revenge spot for Ohio State here. The matchup-wise looks relatively close, but boy, Illinois destroyed them 74-55. That game went way under the total of 143. Ohio State shot just 33%, and that's kind of the way I'm going to look at this game. Both teams, I think, are going to bring their best defense, and even the trends are on that run right now. Ohio State really turning up the defense, 4-0 run under the total. Illinois is on a 5-2 run under the total. That first game went under 2, so I'm looking at a strong defensive game under the total on Sunday. Okay, let's take a look at some best bets. We'll start with the Jim Feist, because he has a free best bet on a different Big Ten game going this weekend. Jim?
This is kind of an off-the-wall team I want to talk about here today. Again, and I keep pounding this home, this is senior night at Penn State. Horrible basketball team. But they've come on a little bit later. They had the big upset at home against Michigan. Then they went on the road, 14.5-point underdog. They covered that game as well. Now they're back home. Now, last week I was wrong about Wisconsin. I had them over Purdue. I thought they would pummel Purdue, and they were up 9 in the second half, and then they just totally fell apart. Well, that's what happens with teams that don't stay focused. Well, Purdue was focused. All these teams can win on any given day. Purdue got hot, Wisconsin lost their composure, and Purdue just wiped them out at the end of that game. It wasn't even close. Now, Wisconsin goes on the road, got to play Michigan State, and then turn around and go on the road again to play this garbage pit team, Penn State. Well, guess what? Penn State has a lot to prove to their fans. This has been a school that's been in turmoil since the Paterno-Sandusky thing that carries through the whole university. They want to show the world, especially on senior night for the outgoing players and fans and everything else that love them anyway, no matter what happened there. They're going to be there to perform. And Wisconsin is reeling. They're coming off a big game at Michigan State. Now they have to play this game here. Penn State's going to win the game straight up.
All right, very good. And Al, what is your best bet? And tell everybody what you have going for this weekend.
Well, my best bet's down in Big 12 country. We go down to Waco. I like Baylor a lot in this situation, both for the fact that it really needs to win this game, and it's coming off 2 straight losses, and Kansas comes in off 7 straight wins and covers. I think a lot of people are going to overreact to the recency effect and play on the hot Kansas Jayhawks. That's the wrong move. We'll take Baylor. You know, I've got a lot of great plays on this Saturday, but we kick it off tonight with a bonus TV winner. Get on board tonight. You get that TV winner plus our 5-play countdown for Saturday, including another Fortune 500 Club release, and I have my small college conference tournament game of the year. All 6 winners for those who sign up tonight for just $15. Call toll free 866-841-1665. That's 866-841-1665.
All right, be sure and take advantage with a Vegas Pro, and March is the best time with some soft lines and plenty of games out there. Jim Feist has a 5-play countdown going Saturday. It's going to include his total of the year, his college total of the year. If you like to play totals, $25, 1-866-841-1655. My best bet is the Sunday game, Illinois, Ohio State, under the total. For Big Al, McMordie, Jim Feist, Dave Cokin, and Jeff Sott of LVSS, I'm John Cranton. Thanks for joining us, and be sure and check out the NBA version of Proline.